Have you ever heard an entire building fall silent because one child finally found her voice? Lily Whitmore had not spoken in 327 days. Not to her mother. Not to the specialists flown in from Boston and Seattle. Not to the teachers who knelt beside her desk with careful smiles. Then, on a gray Tuesday morning in the glass lobby of Whitmore Dynamics, she looked at a man she had never met and whispered, "Don't make him leave." The words were soft, barely more than breath. But Claire Whitmore heard them from 20 feet away. Her phone slipped from her hand and struck the marble floor with a sharp crack. No one moved. The receptionist stopped typing. Two executives froze beside the elevators. Even the security officer holding Marcus Reed by the arm seemed to forget why he had been escorting him toward the front doors. Marcus did not turn around immediately. He stood still in his navy blue security uniform, one hand open at his side, the other holding an old paper coffee cup. He had been hired 3 weeks earlier for the overnight shift. Quiet, reliable, easy to overlook. Most people in the building knew him only as the tall black guard who arrived early, drank his coffee black, and never complained when someone called him by the wrong name. But Lily knew his name. "Mr. Reed," she said. This time, everyone heard it clearly. Claire's breath caught. Her daughter sat behind a wide leather chair near the private family lounge, knees pulled close to her chest, pale fingers wrapped around a small paper boat. Her dark blonde hair had fallen across her face. She looked frightened, but not of Marcus. She was watching the security officer, watching the distance growing between herself and the only person in the room who had not asked her to speak. "Lily," Claire said carefully. Her voice carried the same calm authority that had guided billion-dollar meetings and silenced hostile boardrooms. But it trembled now, just once. "Sweetheart, come to me." Lily did not move. Marcus slowly lowered his coffee onto a side table. Every motion was measured, visible, gentle. "It's all right," he told her. His voice was low, almost lost beneath the hum of the lobby lights. "Nobody's taking anything from you." Claire's eyes sharpened. "What did you say to my daughter?" Marcus finally turned. There was no panic in his face. No pride, either. Only the tired steadiness of a man who had learned long ago that fear became louder when adults rushed to control it. "Nothing she wasn't ready to hear," he replied. The answer landed badly. Claire stepped forward, heels striking the marble. "You entered a restricted area. You approached my child without permission. Now she's defending you." Marcus glanced at Lily, then back at Claire. "I didn't approach her." The security officer loosened his grip, uncertain. Claire noticed. So did everyone else. The lobby had become a courtroom without a judge. Marcus was the only person who did not seem interested in winning. He reached into his jacket slowly and removed a folded handkerchief. On it was a faded blue emblem, barely visible at the edge. He wiped a drop of coffee from the table, folded the cloth again, and placed it back in his pocket. Lily's eyes followed the movement. Her fingers tightened around the paper boat. Then Marcus nodded politely to Claire. "You asked me to leave, ma'am. I'll leave." He took one step toward the doors. Lily rose so quickly that the paper boat slipped from her hand. It landed at Claire's feet. On its side, drawn in blue crayon, was the same strange emblem Marcus carried on his handkerchief. Claire stared at it. Marcus stared, too. And for the first time that morning, the calm left his face. Marcus stopped beneath the revolving doors, his shoulders still, his eyes fixed on the blue emblem drawn across the paper boat. It was not exact. A child had made it from memory, turning sharp lines into soft curves. But he knew the shape. A trident crossed by a narrow wave. The same symbol stitched inside the handkerchief he had carried for 12 years. Claire bent and picked up the boat before Lily could reach it. "Where did you see this?" she asked. Lily pressed her lips together. The voice that had startled an entire lobby disappeared as suddenly as it had returned. Claire looked from the drawing to Marcus. Suspicion moved across her face, quick and cold. "Did you give this to her?" "No, ma'am." "Then how does she know it?" Marcus studied Lily. The girl had lowered herself behind the chair again, but one eye remained visible through the space between the cushions. He recognized the posture. Not hiding, watching, measuring every adult in the room. "You should ask her when she is ready," he said. Claire's jaw tightened. "I have been asking my daughter questions for almost a year. Maybe that is why she needs fewer of them." The words were quiet. They still reached everyone. Claire stared at him as though he had crossed an invisible line. Marcus understood that look. He had seen it from officers, landlords, school administrators, and strangers who mistook calmness for defiance. He did not lower his eyes. He did not raise his voice. "Mr. Reed, come with me," Claire said. "Lily will stay with her aide." Lily's fingers curled around the edge of the chair. Marcus noticed, but he did not move toward her. "I think she wants to see where I am going. You do not get to tell me what my daughter wants." "No, ma'am. Neither do you." The lobby seemed to shrink around them. Claire opened her mouth, then stopped. Lily had reached for the paper boat in her mother's hand. Claire gave it back. Only then did the tension leave the child's shoulders. Marcus allowed himself one slow breath. Claire turned toward the elevators. Security office. Now, the ride to the lower level took less than 30 seconds, but silence made it feel longer. Claire stood beside him with both hands around her phone. It vibrated 3 times. She ignored it twice, then answered on the third. "Move the meeting," she said. "I do not care who is waiting." She ended the call and glanced at Marcus. "You seem comfortable making people uncomfortable. I am comfortable waiting for the truth." The elevator opened into a narrow hallway lined with gray doors and humming lights. Inside the security room, 12 monitors showed every public corner of Whitmore Dynamics. Claire ordered the technician to pull the lobby footage from 20 minutes earlier. Marcus remained near the wall. On the screen, Lily appeared alone beside the family lounge. An alarm test began. People rushed past her. "Hey!" Receptionist called her name. An aide reached for her arm. Lily folded inward. Then Marcus entered the frame. He raised one hand, stopping the aide. He turned off his radio, lowered the lights, sat on the floor 10 feet away. He never spoke. He only tapped 2 fingers against his wrist, slow and steady, until Lily matched his breathing. Claire leaned closer to the monitor. Her expression changed, but only slightly. Then the footage skipped. 47 seconds vanished. When the image returned, Lily was holding the paper boat, and Marcus was being led away. "Where is the missing audio?" Claire asked. The technician swallowed. It was disabled from an executive terminal. Claire looked at Marcus. He looked back at the screen. Someone had not merely watched the moment. Someone had chosen what she was allowed to hear. Claire did not look away from the monitor. "Which executive terminal?" she asked. The technician hesitated, fingers hovering above the keyboard. The command came through the board access network. "I need authorization to trace the individual account." Claire placed her phone on the desk. "You have it." Marcus watched the technician open a security log filled with timestamps and identification codes. He had seen rooms like this before. Different uniforms, different equipment, the same nervous silence whenever truth began moving toward someone powerful. The technician searched twice, then frowned. The account was masked. Claire's expression hardened. "That should not be possible." "It should not," he agreed. Marcus turned toward the paused image of Lily. On the screen, the paper boat rested between her hands. Its blue emblem seemed less like a drawing now and more like a message. "Can you replay the seconds before the audio disappeared?" he asked. Claire glanced at him. "Why?" "Because Lily was looking at something behind me." The technician reversed the footage. Marcus entered the lobby. The aide stepped back. Lily watched him sit down. Then, just before the sound vanished, her eyes shifted toward the second-floor glass walkway. A figure stood behind the tinted railing, too blurred to identify, still enough to be watching. Claire leaned closer. "Enhance it." The technician adjusted the image, but the shape remained little more than a dark suit and a silver reflection. Then the figure lifted one hand toward an earpiece. The audio cut at that exact moment. "Someone was listening," Claire said. Marcus nodded. "And they did not want you hearing what came next." Claire folded her arms. "You heard it. Tell me." Marcus remained quiet. She stepped closer. "My daughter spoke to you after nearly a year of silence. Someone deleted part of the recording. You recognized the symbol on her boat. I am asking you for the truth." "You are asking me for Lily's truth," he said. "That is not mine to give." Claire stared at him. Anger rose first, then something beneath it. Fear. It moved through her face so quickly that most people would have missed it. Marcus did not. "You think I have not earned the right to know?" she asked. "I think she is trying to decide whether speaking is safe." His answer settled heavily between them. Claire looked back at the screen, where Lily sat surrounded by adults who had all wanted something from her. A word, a response, a sign that their efforts had worked. "What did you do before security arrived?" she asked, quieter now. Marcus touched 2 fingers to the face of his old watch. "I gave her a rhythm. For seconds in, for seconds out." Ava used it after her mother died. Claire turned toward him. Ava is your daughter? 10 years old. She stopped speaking for 39 days. What brought her back? Marcus looked at the paused image of Lily. Nothing brought her back. She was still there. I was the one who had to stop pulling. For the first time, Claire's shoulders lowered. Her phone vibrated against the desk. The screen displayed Daniel Cross. She silenced it without answering. Come upstairs, she said. I want you to meet Lily's doctors. Marcus shook his head. No. Claire blinked, and used to hearing the word. I am offering you a chance to help her. No, ma'am. You are offering me a chance to perform. He walked toward the door, then stopped. If Lily asks for me, I will sit with her. No cameras. No audience. No promises. Claire looked at the monitor again. The blurred figure on. The walkway had disappeared from the next frame. Behind her, the security room door closed softly. A second later, her phone vibrated again. This time, the message from Daniel Cross contained only 6 words. Do not let Marcus Reed leave. Claire read the message twice. Do not let Marcus Reed leave. Daniel Cross rarely used urgency. He preferred polished sentences, legal language, and the kind of calm that made other people feel unreasonable. 6 bare words meant he knew something she did not. Claire stepped into the hallway and found Marcus waiting beside the elevator, one hand resting near the old watch on his wrist. Mr. Reed, she called. He turned without surprise. Change of plans. My office. The elevator carried them to the 48th floor, where the city spread beyond the glass in clean lines of steel and winter light. Claire walked behind her desk, but did not sit. Marcus remained near the door. Between them stood a room designed to make visitors feel small. It did not seem to work on him. Daniel Cross wants you kept in the building, she said. Do you know why? Marcus studied her face. You tell every employee when a board member takes an interest in them. Only when part of a security recording disappears and my daughter draws a symbol carried by that employee. She opened a drawer, removed a checkbook, and wrote a number without looking down. $50,000. Marcus glanced at the check when she placed it on the desk. For what? A private consultation. You meet with Lily, explain your breathing method to her doctors, and help us understand why she responded to you. Us. Her medical team. Her aide. Me. And the cameras? Claire paused. For her protection. Marcus walked closer, lifted the check, and turned it once between his fingers. Claire expected negotiation. Most people negotiated when money reached a certain number. Marcus placed it back exactly where it had been. No, the word was not rude. That made it harder to dismiss. You work security for $26 an hour, Claire said. You are raising a child alone. Do not pretend this money means nothing. It means plenty. His eyes remained steady. That is why you put it on the table. Claire felt heat rise beneath her collar. I am trying to help my daughter. You are trying to buy the result because you are afraid of the process. The office went quiet. Her phone vibrated beside the check. Daniel again. She ignored it. You know nothing about my process, she said. I know Lily watched every face in that lobby before she spoke. She was not choosing words. She was choosing who felt safe. Claire looked toward the window. Far below, people crossed the plaza like small moving marks on paper. Are you saying I do not make my own child feel safe? Marcus took a breath before answering. I am saying fear does not care who signs the paychecks. The sentence found the place in her that anger had been guarding. Claire turned back slowly. What do you want? Nothing. Everyone wants something. Your daughter is not an opportunity, Ms. Whitmore. He moved toward the door. Claire watched him reach for the handle. Then why stay at all? Marcus stopped. His hand remained on the brass lever. Because once, my daughter sat 3 feet from me and looked 100 miles away. I kept asking her to come back. His voice softened. She was waiting for me to understand she had never left. Claire said nothing. Marcus opened the door, but Daniel Cross stood on the other side in a charcoal suit, silver hair neat, expression unreadable. His gaze moved from Marcus to the check on Claire's desk. Then he noticed the faded blue emblem at the edge of Marcus's handkerchief. For one brief second, Daniel's composure cracked. Commander Reed, he said. Marcus became very still. Claire looked between them. Daniel had not called him officer. He had not called him guard. He had called him by a title Marcus had never mentioned. Daniel recovered first and stepped into the office. Claire, he said quietly, you need to dismiss your staff. Marcus met his eyes. That depends on which truth you plan to tell her. Daniel closed the office door behind him. There are no staff to dismiss, Claire said. Only the three of us. Daniel's gaze stayed on Marcus. That is already one person too many. Marcus did not move. You sent the message telling her to keep me. Here. I needed to confirm your identity. You recognize the emblem. Daniel adjusted one silver cuff link, a small gesture that gave his hand something to do. Years ago, my foundation funded a military family transition program. Commander Reed was one of the names attached to its advisory records. Claire looked at Marcus. Commander? A title from another life, he said. Daniel gave a thin smile. A decorated life. Leadership citations. Service commendations. A reputation for remaining calm when everyone else lost control. Marcus's expression did not change, but the room seemed to cool around him. You left out the part where I asked for my records to remain private. Privacy becomes complicated when you work inside a publicly traded company. Claire stepped between their words before they could sharpen further. Did you disable the lobby audio? Daniel looked offended with practiced precision. Of course not. Then why did you know Marcus was involved before I called you? For the first time, Daniel had no immediate answer. Claire watched the pause. Marcus watched her watching it. That was enough. Leave, she told Daniel. Claire, you are making an emotional decision. No. I am removing someone who entered my office and avoided a direct question. Daniel's mouth tightened. He glanced once more at Marcus, then walked out without another word. When the door closed, Claire picked up the check and tore it in half. Marcus raised one eyebrow. That does not count as an apology. I was not apologizing. She placed the pieces in the trash. I was correcting the terms. 2 hours later, the family lounge had been emptied of aides, specialists, and cameras. Claire sat near the window with her phone face down beside her. Lily remained on the rug, folding and unfolding the same paper boat. Marcus arrived with a girl wearing a yellow backpack and bright red sneakers. This is Ava, he said. His daughter looked at Claire, then at Lily. Do I have to talk? Ava asked. No, Marcus replied. Good. I have been talking all day. She sat 6 feet from Lily and pulled colored paper from her backpack. No introductions. No questions. She began folding a green boat. Marcus lowered himself into a chair beside Claire. He did not study Lily for progress. He watched Ava struggle with one corner of the paper. After a minute, he leaned forward and fixed the fold with 2 careful fingers. You always make that part too wide, he said. It gives the boat personality, Ava replied. It gives the boat a leak. Ava smiled without looking up. Claire noticed how naturally Marcus moved around his daughter. He tightened a loose shoelace while she worked. He remembered she disliked orange paper. He handed her a snack before she asked. None of it looked important. That was what made it impossible to ignore. Across the rug, Lily slowly reached for a sheet of blue paper. Ava slid the box closer without meeting her eyes. The 2 girls folded in silence. Claire's phone vibrated once. Her hand moved toward it from habit, then stopped. She turned it over so the screen disappeared. Lily noticed. Her shoulders softened. 10 quiet minutes passed before Ava held up her crooked boat. Mine would sink, she said. Lily looked at it, then at her own careful folds. Her lips parted. Claire forgot to breathe. You can use mine, Lily whispered. Ava accepted the blue boat as if children who had been silent for nearly a year offered gifts every day. Marcus did not smile broadly. He did not praise Lily or call anyone into the room. He simply nodded once. Claire looked at him, and something inside her finally understood. His medals had never made Lily trust him. His patience had. Then Lily turned the boat over and revealed a date written beneath the blue emblem. Marcus read it. The calm left his eyes again. It was the date of the accident that had taken Lily's father. Marcus did not touch the boat. He only stared at the date beneath the emblem while the room seemed to grow quieter around him. Claire noticed the change immediately. What does it mean? She asked. Lily pulled the boat closer to her chest. Marcus lowered himself until he was at her eye level, leaving several feet of space between them. Did you see this symbol that day? Lily looked toward the window. Her lips closed again. Marcus did not repeat the question. Ava placed her green paper beside Lily's blue one, then leaned against her father's chair. She does not have to answer now, Ava said. Claire looked at her daughter, then at the phone she had turned face down. Every instinct told her to demand an explanation. For once, she remained still. A knock sounded at the lounge door. Daniel entered with 2 attorneys and the head of corporate security behind him. The board is meeting upstairs, he said. Immediately. Claire stood. This is a family matter. It stopped being private when an employee concealed a classified military background and gained access to your daughter. Marcus rose slowly. My records are sealed, not classified. Daniel's expression tightened. That distinction will not comfort shareholders. Claire stepped between them. Lily stays here with Ava and her aide. Marcus comes with me. The boardroom on the 50th floor was bright, cold, and already full. 12 directors sat around a table long enough to separate people before anyone spoke. A screen at the far wall displayed Marcus's employee photograph beside an older image of him in a formal Navy uniform. He looked younger in the photograph, but the same steadiness lived in his eyes. Daniel stood beneath the screen. Marcus Elijah Reed, he began. Former Navy commander, special operations leader, recipient of the Navy and Marine Corps Medal, 2 commendations for leadership, and a federal citation for coordinating the safe evacuation of 31 civilians during an overseas emergency. Murmurs moved around the table. Claire looked at Marcus. He watched the screen without pride or discomfort, as if the honors belonged to someone he had once known. You applied for a night security position and disclosed none of this, Daniel continued. The application asked whether I could perform the job, Marcus said. I answered honestly. You allowed this company to believe you were ordinary. Marcus met his gaze. That was your belief. I never asked you to have it. The room fell silent. One director leaned forward. Why leave a distinguished career for an hourly security position? Marcus glanced toward the city beyond the glass. My wife died. My daughter needed a father who came home at night. The uniform could not do that for me. Claire felt the sentence settle deeper than any resume could. Daniel changed the screen. A photograph of the blue emblem appeared, followed by a guest program dated the same day as Nathan Whitmore's accident. At the top was the name Harbor Light Veterans Foundation. The emblem matched Marcus's handkerchief and Lily's drawing. Claire stood so quickly that her chair rolled backward. Nathan attended that event. Daniel nodded. He was scheduled to announce a major donation. Commander Reed was listed as the keynote guest, but he never appeared. Every face turned toward Marcus. He reached into his pocket and removed the folded handkerchief. I was not invited to give a speech, he said. Nathan asked me to meet him privately. Claire's voice became unsteady. Why? Marcus looked at the date on the screen. He believed someone inside Whitmore Dynamics was using the foundation to hide money. Daniel's composure cracked again. Only for a second. Claire saw it. Marcus did too. Nathan gave me this handkerchief as proof that we had met, Marcus continued. Then he left before telling me the name. Claire stared at Daniel. You manage the foundation accounts. Daniel closed his folder. This meeting is over. Before anyone could move, the boardroom door opened. Lily stood there holding the blue boat. Her face was pale, but her voice was clear. Daddy said the name in the car. Lily stood in the doorway with the blue paper boat pressed against her chest. Every person at the table turned toward her, but Marcus raised one hand before anyone could speak. Give her room, he said. The directors shifted back. Claire crossed the room slowly and stopped several feet from her daughter. You heard your father say a name? Lily nodded. Her eyes moved to Daniel, then dropped to the carpet. He was talking on the phone, she whispered. He said Mr. Cross found out. Daniel gave a small, controlled laugh. Claire, this is a frightened child remembering fragments from a terrible day. Lily flinched at the word frightened. Marcus noticed. He lowered himself near the end of the conference table, keeping his voice gentle. You do not have to prove anything, Lily. She looked at him. But I made Daddy turn around. Claire's face lost all color. What do you mean? Lily squeezed the boat until one side folded inward. I told him I dropped my bracelet. He looked back at me. Then everything went wrong. The words came slowly, each one pulled through months of silence. If I did not talk, he would not have turned around. Claire moved closer, then stopped herself before reaching out. Marcus remained still. He had learned that grief often hid inside a child like a locked room. The door could not be forced. Lily, he said, your father turned because he loved you. She shook her head. My voice distracted him. Your voice did what a child's voice is supposed to do. It called for someone safe. Lily's eyes filled, but she did not look away. Marcus touched 2 fingers to his throat. Feel this. He waited until she copied him. A voice can carry fear. It can carry love. It can ask for help. It does not cause every bad thing that happens after someone hears it. Claire covered her mouth with one hand. For nearly a year, she had hired specialists to recover Lily's speech. She had never understood that Lily had been punishing herself with silence. "I should have known," Claire said. Marcus looked at her. "You were grieving too." Daniel closed his folder and stood. "This has gone far enough. The board cannot base accusations on the memory of an 8-year-old. Lily turned toward him. Her fear changed. Not into anger, into certainty. "Daddy said, if Daniel moves the money again, I am telling Claire." No one spoke. The sentence sat in the center of the room like a light no one could switch off. Daniel's fingers tightened around the folder. "Children repeat things they do not understand." "Then explain the missing audio," Claire said. "Explain why the account was masked. Explain why you knew Marcus was in the building before I told you." Daniel looked around the table, searching for support. No one met his eyes. Marcus rose. He did not approach Daniel. He did not need to. "Nathan trusted the wrong man," he said. "But he trusted his daughter to remember the truth." Daniel's composure finally gave way. Not loudly. His shoulders simply lowered, as though the weight of years had become visible. The head of corporate security stepped toward him and asked for his access badge. Daniel placed it on the table. Claire did not watch him leave. She was looking at Lily. "Sweetheart," she said, "none of this was your fault." Lily held the boat out to her mother. Claire accepted it with both hands. Then Lily took one careful step forward. "Can you sit closer?" Claire sank to her knees and opened her arms, but she waited. Lily closed the distance herself. Across the room, Ava slipped her hand into Marcus's. He looked down at his daughter, then back at Claire and Lily. The boardroom had spent years measuring risk, profit, and control. Yet the most important thing that happened there required none of them. A mother waited. A child chose. And a voice returned because, at last, no one was trying to own it. By noon, the truth had already begun to change shape. The board placed Daniel Cross on administrative leave, outside auditors were called, and every access record tied to the Harbor Light Foundation was secured. None of that stopped the first headline. Former Special Operations Officer gains private access to CEO's vulnerable daughter. Claire read it on her phone while Lily slept beside her on the family lounge couch, one hand still curled around the blue paper boat. The article included a silent security clip of Marcus sitting near Lily. The missing 47 seconds made his patience look secretive. His sealed service history made his ordinary job look calculated. By 2 o'clock, camera crews lined the sidewalk outside Whitmore Dynamics. Daniel had lost his badge, but someone was still protecting the story he had built. Claire's communications director entered with a prepared statement. "We deny any personal relationship with Marcus Reed, confirm his immediate termination, and describe his contact with Lily as unauthorized." Claire looked through the glass wall. Marcus stood near the elevators with Ava's yellow backpack over one shoulder and a cardboard box beneath his arm. His black coffee cup rested on top. He had already emptied his locker. "Who approved this?" Claire asked. "The board's emergency committee. They believe distance protects the company. Does it protect Marcus?" The director lowered her eyes. "That is not the question they asked." Claire left the statement on the table and walked into the hallway. Marcus saw her coming but did not stop packing. "You are leaving," she said. "The cameras are here for you. Lily has spoken enough for one day. You did nothing wrong. That has never guaranteed a quiet outcome." Ava stood beside him, watching the adults with the patient disappointment children reserved for problems they believed grown people should have solved already. Claire looked at the box. "The board cannot fire you without my signature. They do not need it. I resigned." The words struck harder because he offered them gently. "Why?" "Because Lily needs her voice to belong to her, not to a public argument about me." Claire folded her arms, trying to hold together the part of herself trained to control every result. "They will say your resignation proves guilt. People determined to misunderstand kindness usually find evidence." He lifted the box. "Do what lets your daughter trust you tomorrow." The sentence followed Claire all the way to the press room. Bright lights filled the space. Reporters crowded behind a line of microphones. The board's statement waited on the podium, each sentence polished until no human being seemed responsible for it. Claire saw Marcus near the rear doors with Ava. He had stayed only because Lily had asked him not to disappear without saying goodbye. Claire placed both hands on the podium. "This morning, my daughter spoke after 327 days of silence," she began. The man she spoke to did not question her, touch her, pressure her, or ask for recognition. He sat down. He waited. He listened. Her communications director closed her eyes. Claire continued. Marcus Reed did not manipulate my family. He protected my daughter's dignity when this company's own leadership failed to protect his. Questions rose around the room, but Claire did not yield the microphone. I was advised to deny knowing him because he works security, because his history is complicated, and because defending him may cost me my position. Those reasons describe our fear. They do not describe his character. At the rear of the room, Marcus became still. This company taught me how to control a room, Claire said. Marcus Reed taught me how to listen inside one. She announced an independent investigation, restored his employment publicly, and accepted full responsibility for the board's failure. The room erupted with voices. Then a smaller voice came through the open doorway. Mr. Reed. Lily stood beside her aide, holding 2 paper boats. Marcus turned. She walked through the crowd and offered him one. Please do not leave because I talked. Marcus lowered himself until they were eye to eye. I would never make your voice pay for someone else's choices. Claire watched Lily place the boat in his hand. Outside, the cameras kept flashing. Inside, no one moved. The company was still uncertain. Claire's position was still at risk. Marcus's name was still being judged by strangers. But Lily was no longer hiding behind silence. And Claire had finally chosen a truth that could cost her something. 6 weeks later, the blue paper boat sat inside a glass case in the lobby of Whitmore Dynamics. There was no plaque beneath it. Claire had refused one. Some things lost their meaning when adults explained them too loudly. The independent audit had traced the missing foundation money through accounts Daniel Cross had controlled for years. The erased audio, the masked terminal, and the altered security footage had all come from the same chain of access. Daniel resigned before the board could remove him, and the evidence was turned over to federal investigators. Claire kept her position, though not by unanimous vote. 3 directors left. 2 apologized. The others became noticeably better listeners. Marcus returned to work on a Monday morning, but not to the security desk. Claire offered him an executive office, a salary that made him stare at the page twice, and a title long enough to require its own business card. He declined all 3. I do not need a better view, he told her. I need work that matters. Together, they created the Whitmore Family Support Program, providing counseling, child care assistance, emergency leave, and trauma support to every employee, from senior leadership to the overnight cleaning crew. Marcus agreed to lead it on one condition. No family would be treated like a public relations problem. Claire signed the condition before he finished saying it. On the first afternoon of the program, the lobby looked different. Children colored at low tables near the windows. Parents spoke with counselors without hiding their name badges. Ava taught Lily how to make a paper boat that could float without tipping over. Lily still had quiet days. No one counted them anymore. Some mornings she spoke only to her mother. Some afternoons she said nothing at all. Claire learned that silence was not always a locked door. Sometimes it was simply a room where her daughter needed company. She began leaving her phone outside Lily's bedroom at night. She attended school meetings without an assistant. When Lily stopped in the middle of a sentence, Claire waited instead of finishing it for her. Progress became smaller after that, more honest. One evening, Marcus found Claire alone in the lobby, standing before the glass case. Her heels were in one hand. Her phone was silent in the other. Long day, he asked. Long year, she replied. He handed her one of the 2 cups he carried. Black coffee. No sugar. She took a sip and made a face. This is terrible. That is because you usually drink dessert with a little coffee in it. She laughed softly. It was not the careful laugh she used at charity dinners. This one surprised her. Across the lobby, Ava and Lily sat on the floor beside a shallow display fountain, testing their newest boats. Lily's reached the other side first. She looked up and called, Mr. Reed? Marcus turned. Thank you for waiting for me. He walked over and crouched beside the fountain. You were worth waiting for. Lily smiled, then looked at her mother. You were waiting too. Claire set down her coffee and joined them on the floor, expensive suit and all. Her phone began vibrating across the lobby. She let it ring. Marcus watched her, but he said nothing. He did not need to. Months earlier, Claire had believed her daughter needed someone powerful enough to bring her voice back. She had been wrong. Lily had needed patience. Claire had needed courage. And Marcus, the man everyone had underestimated, had never tried to rescue either of them. He had simply stayed long enough for them to find their own way home. He did not teach a silent child to speak. He taught a room full of powerful adults how to listen.